And we are live, I think. I hope. Yes, I think we are. Definitely. Here we are. Pixel Chatter number 51. G'day, everybody. How you going? Just checking into the chat box. Chat box, rather. Let me have a look. Here we go. I'm trying to work out the best spot for this chat box so I can keep an eye on all the cheeky stuff being said. G'day everybody, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you've had a great week of photography and you enjoyed last week's show. I can see a lot of great comments about episode number 50. It was good to reach that milestone, but here we are another week later. A little bit clunky getting things started with my new setup, but I don't think Earl's ever going to come back. That's my plan. Everyone wants Earl back, well, Aussie in particular. But I'm not going to let Earl come back. We're going to continue on with the show without any hiccups. That's my plan. Alrighty. So, some of the usuals we've got lined up for today. And I'm going to also do something new and just see what you think. Alright, listen. The chat box has been going off for ages. Since about 8 a.m. So, it's good to see people getting in nice and early. Hopefully, you've got your cuppers ready. There's mine, my Pixel Chatter cup. Always good to get your coffee in the morning so you can enjoy yourself and get yourself woken up. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Alright, if you're not already, you can follow me on the following social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Mostly active on Facebook, but you can follow me on either of those other two, and you'll be able to catch up with everything that's going on when you stay tuned into those social pipes, whatever you want to call them. Well, let's have a look through the chat box. Who's here? We've got Chance. G'day, Chance, from your work. G'day, Tim McCuster, Susan, Rick. Who else we got here? Aussie Paul. G'day. Dave's Tattoo. How you doing? Brian. G'day, Brian. Wow, lots of people in there. Sam. G'day, Sam. Sad to miss last week's show, but as you say, get out there and take some photos, so I did. All right, good to see my catchphrase is catching on. Get out there and take some photos. It's always interesting, when I was starting to do YouTube videos, I thought, how am I going to finish these up? Because it's always hard to finish a video. What do you say? Everyone goes, thanks for watching. See you next time. No, so give you something more encouraging, get you out there. G'day, Ren. G'day, Izzy. Bala, John, Peter, Handy Parts, Cy, Net Wolf, awesome. Susan, just thinking of something cheeky to say, are you? I look forward to it. Oh no, I just shut my chat down. That's a habit, isn't it? Putting the phone down and shutting things. All right, I need that for my chat so I can see what's going on. How's everyone's week been? Good to hear. I'm glad you've had a good week. Alrighty, so just a big thank you to the patrons, because this show is made possible by our amazing supporters, and in this world we call them VIPs, very important photographers. Now, if you want to become a very important photographer, or probably more important than you are, head down to the description. You'll see a link there. Go to patreon.com/on3legs. Join the VIP group. We have a pretty active and vibrant community online, a private community, where I'm in there all week and to answer questions. But more than that, you've also got all the other VIPs. So rather than some huge group full of people spamming stuff in there, it's a very controlled group with just VIPs in it for you to share your photos, thoughts, ask questions, etc. It's my idea that is coming to fruition when I started the VIP group was to build an online community that was supportive and fun. And I think that we're definitely doing that. We're having fun in there, but there's a lot of good support in there and people helping each other. Tassie, still got a few spots left for Tassie next year. And we're heading to Cradle Mountain on the 5th of May, 2019. The good news is, if you decide to come along, you've got plenty of time to save. All you have to do is pay for a deposit of 500 Aussie dollars, and the rest will be due a month before we go. So you've got until April, beginning of April, say end of March next year to save up. Everything's included except for your flights to Tasmania. Once you get to Tasmania, we'll transfer you to and from an amazing place in Cradle Mountain. We stay at a nice hotel there. that I believe, because when I was there last time, which was after the last time I went, but when I was there last time, they actually started to renovate some of the rooms. So maybe, I don't know how much of it will be done by the time we get there, but hopefully we'll all have renovated rooms, because the rooms were getting a little bit tired. But beautiful location, set in the national park itself, so surrounded by trees and wildlife, and it's just a beautiful spot. So still got some spots available for that if you'd like to come along. We've got quite a few On Three Legs followers coming along, but we have 4 spots left. Many people have asked me about the calendar I mentioned last week. The calendar is getting done very soon. And what I'm doing, I'm sorry, I'm just checking my... Just checking that everything's working. So it's harder for me to tell now. Yeah, so I've had quite a few people since last week's show ask about the calendar and how do you go about getting one. So if you want to get on the list of 50, because I'm only printing 50 and I'll only sell probably 45 because friends and family will get the others and myself will keep one, then you need to just email me or shoot me a message through Facebook and let me know that you'd like me to put one aside for you. They're going to be $30 Australian plus postage and handling. Depending where you are in the world, that'll be determined by that. I'll come up with that figure, but it'll be whatever it costs us to post them. Won't be anything extravagant. So if you do want to grab one of those calendars and get on the pre-order list, that is the way to do it. It is going to feature 12 of my landscape images, pretty much A3 size for you to enjoy. So get on that list. Simply go to email me or go to my Facebook page and send me an email, and I'll put you on the pre-order list. And what I'll take as many as I can on that list, because if I get, let's say I get 80 people, well, then maybe I'll print some more. But I've got to tell the printer next week how many I'm going to print. So at this stage, I'm telling him 50. I've got about 30 people on the list. If you want to be on that list and get one of the 45 calendars for the first ever On Three Legs calendar, then that's what you need to do. And the good news is the printer has given me permission, by the way, to go in and create a vlog of it all happening. So if you're interested in how the process happens, including the design and setup and everything, we'll have a chat to the printer about the different papers and printing methods, etc. Then that'll be coming up in December, I would say, by the time I get that edited and up. Also, another exciting announcement. I can't tell you too much yet. Just looking at my chat box here, I'll come to that shortly. I can't tell you too much yet, but what I can tell you is that if May next year is no good for you to come on a trip with me, I am going to be doing another trip towards the end of 2019. It's not going to be Tasmania. It will be Australia. An amazing location. Just an amazing location where we will be getting around in four-wheel drives and photographing some amazing things. There you go. That's what I can tell you. So stay tuned. I will be releasing more details, hopefully before Christmas, and that'll give you a chance to be able to book in and save for that trip. It's going to be a pretty amazing trip. And once again, that'll be with my good friend Simon. Simon. I just was reading Simon here. With my good friend Michael Sneddick, who runs Wild Nature Photography Expeditions. Alrighty, not the Northern Territory, Paul, no, but just as beautiful. How's that? Okay, for what's in my box this week, once again, nothing in my box. So the worldwide sticker map, which is just above my head, just here, is getting neglected. We need some more worldwide stickers. So if you have a sticker for the worldwide sticker map, then please... send them into the box. It's down below, the P.o.Box down below. Send them in with an envelope, or just with your details. I don't need an envelope. Just with your postal address and details, and I will send you something back, some goodies back as a thank you, and we'll get your stickers up on the worldwide sticker board. But yeah, the box has been pretty inactive. My box is feeling left out. Oh, I love a good coffee in the mornings. Oh, my phone keeps shutting down on me because I'm not opening it. Kimberly. Everyone's guessing now. Uluru. You'll have to wait to find out. It's what they call a teaser. But in like the NT tourist stickers you see in the NT, yeah, you don't want to. I don't think that was an actual campaign. Maybe Aussie Paul can tell us that. See you in the NT for the Northern Territory campaign. And then you saw the stickers, and it used abbreviations. Alrighty. Hope the price of fuel drops by then. Yeah, everybody does, Rick. It's a little bit out there, isn't it? Alrighty. So nothing in my box. Now, something that I need to let you know about now is that next week there will not be a Pixel Chatter. However, I will do a live video, I would say, for the VIPs on over the weekend. It won't be on the Saturday morning. But what I'm doing is I'm going away up to my parents' place, which is about a 6-hour drive north. And I'm going to chuck the tent in the car, and I'm going to try and find somewhere nice to go and do some astrophotography if the skies are clear. If not, I'll do sunrise and sunset anyway, but I'll find somewhere to camp out and take you guys along with me. But there won't be any Pixel Chatter, so just that way you can keep working, Chance. You don't need to stop your afternoon when you're in your peak time of production on a Friday afternoon. It was a campaign and Territorians loved it. Yeah, no doubt they did. All right. I didn't know if it was real or not. Somewhere remote in Fewtrell, Wollongong. I don't think we'll be going to Wollongong, no. This will require a flight for me. So there you go. There's the hint. It's not drivable from here. It will require a flight, and then we will be hiring 4-wheel drive. So we'll have 2 4-wheel drives to be able to carry everybody. And it'll be very limited numbers because we can only fit so many in each 4-wheel drive. But it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I can't wait. All right, so brand new segment this week. And I wanted to think about how I could use this platform to help you. And so I decided to start a new segment called Featured Photog of the Week. And I want to share... what I'll do is, if no one sort of emails me anything interesting, I just want your Instagram handle and maybe a bit about you. But this photographer I've actually... is a VIP, and I've also met on my last Tassie tour, and he's quite active here in the group on a weekly basis. He's here this week. His name is Izzy. Izzy is in the chat box. But the reason I wanted to start doing this was because I thought it would be great for all of you to start following each other. I know a lot of you do already, but some of you are taking some amazing photos. Well, most of you take amazing photos, and it does take a fair bit of work to get a following, and I feel quite honoured that I have a relatively large following compared to what I did when I first started out, and how can I share that love with everybody else? So I thought I'll do a featured photog of the week, and I will probably be biased towards the VIPs. Because they look after me, I'm going to look after them. But it doesn't mean you can't get featured, or it could be someone that doesn't even know they're going to get featured. I'll just pick someone if I see some amazing stuff. Anyway, I'll show you some of Izzy's work because I want to... Let's do this. Let's get Izzy's work up on the... I've got the right thing up there. Let me get rid of that. Here we go. And you can go and check out Izzy's work on Instagram. Just here is at Izzy, Abullela. Izzy Abullela. Hopefully I pronounced that right. He's in the chat box right now. So Izzy, if you wouldn't mind, just maybe share your Instagram handle. And if you look at his little profile description, he says, "I love the way a long exposure changes a subject from the briefest representation of its form to one that exhibits its enduring nature in time." And one of the things I've noticed about Izzy is he loves really long exposures and gets some amazing results. Amazing results. And he's very proactive, always out there. And, there's a lot to be learnt from the photographs that Izzy takes for us as other photographers. I look at some of them and get some great lessons out of them. So I think, for everybody, if you want to follow a photographer, Izzy is one to follow. And, I just admire his, patience and tenacity to do these long exposures, because I know it can be quite a, sometimes it can be quite frustrating if you don't get it right. You've got to start all over again. And we're not talking about 60 seconds here. Izzy does sometimes, 20-minute exposures. So, just some amazing photos there on his Instagram feed. You can go and check him out. He's got a Facebook page as well. He's got all the socials going. I'm sure he can share that, share his handle with you in the chat box. So that'd be good if you can do that. All right. So, and then I asked Izzy, I said, how do you go about getting these photos, with the lens, like with light, etc. And then he was sharing about his filter setup. So I thought what I'd do is I'll show you. I asked him to give me some photos, in the VIP group of how he shades his big stoppers, all his filters from the sunlight, from the stray light coming in, because it can be quite a problem. And then he told me he uses this Lee filter kit. So it's a Lee filter sunshade thing. I don't know if I'm giving this justice or not, but as you can see, it sort of is a big filter that goes over the lens, and it protects the lens from sun getting into it. So it means that, when he's out there taking long exposures and really long exposures, that the sun's not hitting the filter and ruining his shot. And I'd actually never seen one of these before, so there you go. So we learn something new every day as we go through this. It looks like medium format bellows, doesn't it? But it's actually a bit of equipment made by Lee Filters. So there you go. I can see on the bottom of there it says Lee Filters. So it's a bit of equipment made specifically for shading your filters when you're doing your photography. So there you go. So that's our featured photog of the week. Izzy, well done, mate. And make sure everyone goes and follows Izzy and gives Izzy some love. There you go. It's a wide angle lens hood. That's what it's called. Thanks for the help there, buddy. It's early, I'm still having only my second coffee. Alrighty. So each week I'm going to do a featured photog of the week, and I will just randomly choose somebody. And I think it'll be a good opportunity for you to discover other photographers maybe that I follow, because I follow a lot of photographers. And there you go. All right, so our next step is to jump into the VIP challenge. Now, if you don't know what the VIP challenge is, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the VIP challenge is, let me just work out which one am I doing. I am doing around the house is what I'm doing, I believe. Yes, it is. All right, just getting things sorted. All right. What's going on there? No. Come on, Facebook, catch up. Dear, oh dear. All right. Boy, oh boy, Facebook's doing something funny. Let me just get out of that for a second. All right, I'll be ready to share that with you. So the VIP challenge is for the very important photographer group that I mentioned earlier. To become a VIP, go to patreon.com/on3legs and you'll learn all about it. Each week we have a challenge, usually each week, depending on what's going on. So the current challenge, which is the moon, and I did that because it was a new moon, or a full moon rather, the other day. So I thought, that's a good one. Let's do the moon. I'm pretty sure, yeah. It doesn't matter how you photograph it. But the moon challenge, I've given everyone 2 weeks because there's no Pixel Chatter next week. So it just depends. But normally it's a weekly challenge, and it's an opportunity for VIPs to go out and try new things. This week was around the house, this particular week. And that was about finding things around the house. And I said it could be anything. And so this one's got a house in it. This picture of mine. So it was just around the house. Anyway, let's have a look and see what everybody came up with. So this is charts. Selena and Kane, gate to my backyard. Enter if you dare. There we go. Another one. Nikon D800. A photo of a rake around the house. Stephen Cast, a splash of colour. So it looks like he's drying the mat off. Ren, fire pit barbecue and beer. It's a good life in his backyard. Who wouldn't want a backyard like that? Check that out. That is a nice backyard. With some good product placement, by the way. If you have a look here at the beer cooler, I love it. Fahim with his opera house shot. Brian, Queenscliff Pier and Lifeboat House. And that was it. So minimum number of entries this week. The runner-up for the week was Ren with his selfie Looks like he's cooking over a fire in his backyard, and got the VIP on 3 legs beer cooler around his beer, which is nice. So well done, Ren. Very good job. And the winner of the challenge for the week was this one here, A Splash of Colour. Now, these are chosen by the boss. A Splash of Colour by Stephen Cast. So well done, everybody, for entering that. As I said, this new challenge is the moon. So get out there and shoot the moon for this week's challenge. It'll be interesting to see those shots which end up with. And it can be, the moon can be shot at any time, really, can't it? So, alrighty. Okay, I'll jump in the chat box in a second and just see what's going on. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the show. Just fixing my computer back up so I've got what I need. Yeah, alright. Yeah, good to see we've already got a moon shot up in the moon. Alrighty, and somebody was cheeky and said they were going to 2 cheeks for the moon, but I said don't do 2 cheeks. We don't need to see that. Alright, let's get into the chat box. Wow, here we go. On 3 legs, it says Christopher LOL. On 3 legs, yes. I don't know why that's funny, but it's about... If you're wondering, if you haven't got it, it's the tripod. That's what it is. On 3 legs. Good work. Thanks, everyone, says Izzy. Jim's the grumpy photographer. G'day. He says the wide angle lens hood is great until it's windy and it takes off. Well, that's the same with anything, isn't it, at the end of the day? Unfortunately, the more gear we put onto our lenses and our camera, the more likely we're going to get affected by wind, so... We do need to be careful. Can you use that hood for shooting through windows? Yes, it would work great, wouldn't it? That's another thing. Cool. Yeah, not if it's if it's cloudy, or hide the moon. Yes. However, it's unlikely to be cloudy for 2 weeks. That's what I'm thinking. And I also did say in that challenge that you are able to upload a picture from past. So normally the challenge has to be taken in that period of time, but I'm happy for people because it is a more difficult challenge to post up a moonshot that they had done in the past. And that'll make it nice and easy, won't it? All right, follow me on social media. It's a subliminal advertising message there whilst I work out what I'm doing next. All right, time for some critiquing. Image critiques. Let's do this. Everything's ready. Everything's ready. Everything is ready. I thought it was. How's the boss, says Andrew. The boss is good. The boss is going well. All right. Chat box is open over there so I can see what's going on. And I'm going to flip over now to my Lightroom. And we're going to have a look at this week's critiques, image critiques. This week's image critiques have been sent in by Ren Thielen and Dennis Stuhl. We have a beautiful pano, which anyone who knows me knows that I love a good pano. This one's sent in by Ren Thielen over in WA. We saw him in his backyard, very jealous. And then we've got this one here sent in by Dennis Stuhl. He said this was meant for the bridge challenge but never made it in. So he'd like to put it in for today's image critique. More than happy to do that. So let's go back to the start, and we'll start with this image here by Ren Thielen in WA, and we're going to talk about the technical aspects first, and then we'll get on to composition and post-processing. Alrighty. So from a technical aspect, ISO 100, he shot this with a Nikon D7200, 18 to 35 millimeter lens. He's got a beautiful selection of some of the older lenses, actually, Ren uses, but they're cracking sharp lenses. I can see that here, nice sharp shot. It's the 18 to 35 mil at f1.8, cracking lens. Crazily, I don't know why they don't still make something like that, because I don't think they've got anything like that anymore. 35 mil focal length, so he shot this at its, I guess, racked all the way in, zoomed in, at 1/50th of a second at f10. And it's a pano, and it's actually a 2-shot pano, so it must be relatively cropped, because otherwise it wouldn't be so thin. Is that the right word? Or low profile. So 2 shots joined together. I'm not sure how Ren joined them together, but it's a canola and a tree, 2-shot pano at 35mm. Good job with the pano. Good lighting across it. So obviously everything must have stayed constant between the 2 shots. So from a technical aspect, I think everything is good. As I said, shot at f10, which is a good aperture for this type of thing, because you've got canola here up close, and then you've got your tree up there, and you want to make sure that you get as much of it in focus as you can. And it's really tricky in something like this, because the distance between here and here, could be 100 meters, a couple of 100 meters. So you need to be really mindful of that as you go through and take these shots. Very important. Alrighty. So let's look at it from a composition point of view and then post-processing wise. To me, from a compositional point of view, and once again, we weren't there, so it's difficult. And I have shot canola fields in New South Wales. And it can be really tricky. There are some where you find them with this one tree in the middle, and then you've got to try and compose the shot. Quite often you're limited as to what angle you can shoot from, because it might be it is always somebody's property. So it's usually fenced, and it can make it a bit difficult. And maybe Ren's in the chat box, or maybe Ren can fill us in on what the situation was. But to me, I would have tried to have shot this in a way where these trees over to the left here weren't in the shot. So it was just one solitude tree. And I'll show you what I mean with a crop. Because the other thing that I would have preferred to see is this tree on its own. A bit more, and not in the middle. Something maybe like that. So you get, even here I've still got that distraction. Now the good thing with a shot like this is you could quite easily remove those trees over here. We'll try it with the healing brush and see what happens. There we go. I'm going to choose a bit over here so it's less obvious that I did it. There we go, look at that. The power of the healing brush. I'm just going to do another bit here like this, see if I can somehow get rid of that little dark spot. There we go. Still a little bit of something funny there. I'd probably do that in Photoshop, but I could just crop that little corner off. So there is there's options when it comes to post-processing. So I'm just going to undo those changes and redo the original crop, because you could definitely, if you wanted to, try and remove a bit more of that. But I think one of the things to me is this tree, because it's sort of the hero of the shot, to me it needs to be more on one of these intersections. So it just makes a bit more of an impact. The other thing is, whilst the horizon might be level, and this is a funny thing with canola, this could be a hill, and you might like the angle going up, I don't know. To me, I feel like I want to straighten it. Let's see what Lightroom does. Yeah, Lightroom does as well. Lightroom wants to straighten it. So in this instance, because the horizon is not visible and the canola is giving you a bit of a horizon, I would probably be inclined, or I would be inclined to do what I've just done. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to pick a spot up here somewhere that makes sense. Got to try and find a spot where the clouds are going to merge in nicely. There we go. And then I'll do the same thing down here. I'm going to get rid of this down here. Now, what I do to photos, a lot of people don't like doing. So I get it if you're not into post-processing at this degree. But that's just me. It's what I don't mind doing. To me, that's a much more appealing shot than the original from a crop point of view. And you get rid of all that distraction of everything else. And, it just gives me a different result for me to look at. To me, a much more appealing result. Now, the next thing I would say with this is you've got this vibrant yellow, but on my screen, which is calibrated, it's not looking super vibrant. So I'm just going to pump the vibrance up a bit just to see. Now, it sort of makes the sky a bit funny. So I would grab... Well, there's two ways you could do this, actually. You could use a graduated filter. Drag it up from the bottom, like so. Something like this, so we don't overdo where the saturation is. Put it across the join there, and then increase the saturation. So you can see how yellow I can make that canola by doing that. Okay, so that's a really easy way to make that work. That's probably overdone, but it gives you a really good example. If I just go back to here and give you a before and after. So that was before, and that's after. So you can see the difference in the vibrance of the canola. And canola is really, really vibrant stuff. So that's just a way to sort of bring that to life. I'm going to back it off just a tad because I feel like I have overdone it. Now I want to edit an original. I've got to get off the before. There we go. So I'm going to edit this and just bring it back just a bit because I've overdone it. The other thing that, whilst you've got a graduated filter on that part, I would just bring the saturations up a bit, and I'm going to bring the blacks down a little bit just to give that some more definition of that canola. Whites a little bit just to brighten the tops of them up, and then a bit of contrast. And that's, I mean, the canola really is a hero in this shot. Let's have a look at that. Look at that. Oh, that looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, the next thing I would do is that tree is my other hero. So what I'm going to do with that tree is I'm going to give that a little bit of a kick in the guts, I call it. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to grab a brush. I'm going to bring clarity up to 100. And I'm going to brush over the tree. Okay, and that's going to make the tree really stand out. Okay, then I'm going to bring clarity back to about 30. And I'm just going to go around the outside of the tree to blend it in so it doesn't look like it's got an edge against the clouds. And then we'll go back to about 17, and then we'll do another layer just outside that so it doesn't go too crazy. All right, so now we've done that. Now we've made our tree really pop, and I'll show you how that looks. Let's go big. So that's before and after. Before and after. I think I would like to give a bit more contrast to the clouds in the sky. So what I think I'll do is just give the whole image a bit more contrast. Just a little bit. I'm going to back the highlights back just a bit, which will really sort the contrast out a bit. There we go. Drop the blacks a touch. Bit of clarity overall. Don't want to overdo it. And there we go. Remove some chromatic aberration if there is any. I just tick that box all the time. And to me, I would be pretty happy with that. That's a cracking shot. Lovely shot. You know, you could also, if you wanted to, you could make it crop it down a little bit more and make it a slightly thinner. Get rid of the bottom of the canola if you wanted to. I actually like it though. Maybe get rid of the top. Fill up with more canola. There we go. Something like this. No, I liked my previous crop, I think. Yeah, more sky. See, sometimes we do things and we go. All right, one last thing I'm going to do, which is my letterbox vignette. So what I like to do is a graduated filter from the top, and I drop the exposure down. See, I'll show you just dramatically so you can see what it looks like. See how I can make the top of the image darker? So a vignette is normally in the corners, but I call this one a letterbox one because it leaves the middle clear all the way through. So that one's done. You can see it just makes the top of the sky darker, and I'll do the same on the bottom. And what it does is it just pulls the eye into the middle of the image. So have a look, there we go. Let's now have a look at the before and after. So this one was the before and then the after. Before, after. That's a cracking shot, Ren. Love it, mate. What's everyone think of that one? I would happily print that and stick that on my wall. That's a great shot. Good location. Nice lighting as well. What time of the day was that? I didn't even look. Let's have a quick look at the EXIF information. Get back to library. 5:05 p.m. So was that the accurate time? That'd be interesting to know. Really nice image. But that gives you the it gives you an idea of what you can do. And if we go back into the develop, just that crop alone, you can see how much I have cropped off that image. Oops. I don't want to. Yeah, it just looks great. That's a nice image. Beautiful. Good cloud in the sky too. Like sometimes you just don't get that. So really nice cloud in the sky as well. Good job, Ren. Like that photo. Well done, mate. Alrighty. So there you go. A little bit of editing sometimes can make a big difference to an image. And I think the thing is, think about your shot and what you want to make the hero. Get the colours out of what is really colourful. And you'll, quite often, just a few small changes. You can see how I only do a few small things. I think that's one of the secrets. A lot of people ask me, how long does it take you to edit an image? Now, truthfully, if I'm not printing something, that's about as long as I spend on an image. Maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If I'm printing something, I will go through it with a lot more care because I'll zoom right in and check for dust spots. I would check for chromatic aberration. I would check for anything that I can to make sure. Because what happens is when you take something that's on a screen this big and you blow it up to being much bigger, is every little imperfection shows. And I've learnt that by making the mistake myself. There's nothing worse than printing a photo, getting it delivered to you from the printer, and finding a dust bunny on your sky because you can't do anything about it except crop the image manually, and that's with a razor blade and a ruler, and I have had to do that. So the best thing to do is make sure that you've got the got it right in your software before you print it, and then you won't have that problem. Alrighty, let's check the chat box. What's everyone thinking about that? Only problem with this phone is I've got to keep opening it to have a look at what was going. It was mid-afternoon. Yeah, it said 5 p.m. on the EXIF information, Ren. So, yeah, great shot. Great shot. Good tips on editing. Have to invest in Lightroom. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have anything, Lightroom is great. In the old days, I sound like an old bugger now, don't I? But I've been doing photography for a long time. In the old days, I didn't use Lightroom because it wasn't really good enough for somebody that wanted to do editing and a little bit more, I guess, advanced editing and processing. Back in the old days, you had to use Photoshop. So I used Bridge. And Bridge was a product that allowed you to catalog all your images. And to this day, I still don't have all my images in Lightroom because, especially now with this computer, because we, with all those problems, one of the things they made me do was start it from scratch, which means that all my images, 20-something thousand of my images, are sitting on a hard drive, and it takes a long time to import them into Lightroom, into the library. So they're not all in there. I've only imported about 1,500 so far. Because I like to keyword all mine as they come in. So I didn't realise how much extra work it was going to create for me. But there you go. But Lightroom is great. And people, as you've said there, Netwolf, Fahim doesn't like the subscription model. A lot of people don't. What I will say about the subscription model, and this is the good thing, is you always have the latest. The other thing is with the subscription model, you get support. So if you're not sure how to do something or something's not working or you just want to get some help, you can get support from Adobe. So I actually really like the subscription model. I have the full Adobe suite for me, which includes the editing software for the vlog. So I use Premiere, I use Audition, which is the audio editing. I use Lightroom, I use Photoshop, I use After Effects to do titles that move. So sometimes it's good to have these other programs depending on what it is you're doing. For me, it definitely works. But for some people, it doesn't. So you've got to decide what, what's going to be the right thing for you. Dust bunny. You think that's funny, Christopher? That's what we call them in Australia. I don't know what they call them in the rest of the world. We call them dust bunnies when things get on your sensor. That's what we call them. But Lightroom is a great option. All right, let's jump into the second image, and this one is a bridge by Dennis. Here we go. So this bridge is by Dennis Stewell, and Dennis shot this bridge. Let me tell you a bit about this shot. Somebody did ask where this bridge was. It's the bridge, where is it from? It's Shakespeare Bridge in Montgomery, Alabama, USA. So that's where that bridge is, Alabama, USA. So if you're ever in Alabama, great looking bridge for you to go and find. Montgomery, Alabama. Alrighty, so Dennis said, attached is my third image for the week. This image is from the bridge challenge from a few weeks ago. Now, by the way, the reason he's saying 3 images or third image is because when you shoot in your images for critique, I get you to shoot in 3 images. That way I get to pick them, or quite often what I'll do is I will do all 3 of your images over a series of shows. So by sending me in 3 images. Now, by the way, if you want your photos on the Pixel Chatter live image critique show, it's down in the description down there, my email address, ben@on3legs.com. Send them through, include EXIF information. Sometimes people send me through links to download them from Flickr or something like that, and typically it doesn't work because they protect you from downloading the images, or Dropbox links. I just prefer you email me the images. It's much easier for my production flow here. So if you want to get your image on the critique show, email them into ben@on3legs and make sure they're at least 3,000 pixels on the longest edge, and include the EXIF information and any shooting information you can give me. So that way I can make sure that I include it all when I talk about the shot, as I've got here. So this, as I said, Shakespeare Bridge, Montgomery, Alabama, USA, shot with a Nikon 7200. So both today's shots, Nikon 7200s. And this one's shot with an 18 to 140mm lens, f3.5 to 5.6. In aperture mode, ISO 100, 1/100th of a second at f5.6 on a tripod. So technically, there is a problem here that I noticed straight away when I open this image up inside my inbox. And that problem is depth of field. And that's going to happen with a lens like this. Now, he's shot at 24mm, which is almost at its widest focal length, but shot at 5.6. Now, you're on a tripod. So the thing about being on a tripod is it gives you the option to be able to shoot a longer shutter speed without getting having to worry about you're not getting a sharp shot. So for this image here, I can see without zooming in that this section of the bridge over here, and I'll zoom in and show you, is actually not in focus. It's blurry. Now the reason for that is because of the shutter speed, so not the shutter speed, because of the aperture, and quite a lot of the image is not in focus. So not quite sure where this has focus. Looks like it might be down on the grass here. The grass here looks relatively sharp, but the rest isn't. So you just got to be careful when, this looks relatively sharp here. You've got to be careful when you're shooting landscapes, because typically you want everything sharp. You want everything to look in focus. And so the only way to do that is to increase your aperture. So if you don't understand depth of field, good thing for you to Google. And it's a good learning process, because I've gone out, believe it or not, I'm human and make mistakes as well. Even though, I probably don't admit it often enough, but I've gone out and shot things and, not at the right aperture, and ended up with my image, out of focus. And so the problem with that is you don't get everything in focus, and you're going to be, once again, upset once you get home. Unless you live near this where you can go back and shoot it. But quite often I do a lot of travel, and my photography is when I'm out and about. So I always practice taking, when I take shots, rather than different compositions, bracket your shots. And what I mean by that is just change the aperture. So if you think f8 looks in focus, shoot at f13, try f16, just do a few different shots, because what you'll find is that when you get back, you'll have, the shot that you'll get at least one that's, what you want. Because to me, I would be upset if I got home and went, oh no, this is not in focus, especially if I travelled there. Besides that, I think technically everything else is good. ISO 100's good. If it's in aperture priority, the shutter speed would have been determined by the aperture. So as I said, I would have gone to aperture f13 maybe, or something like that. So this is shot at f8 rather. This is shot not f5.6. This is shot at f8. I would have definitely gone to something like f13 or something a lot higher, because f8 with this lens, and it's not unusual for a lens that goes from really wide to zoomed in for it to struggle with lower down apertures, wider apertures, smaller f numbers. Not unusual at all. And the reason is because this lens has been built to try and do so many things. And when they start making lenses that can do so many things, they do everything okay. They don't do anything really well. So you have to be mindful of that when you're using these lenses. If you were just using a prime lens that was a 24mm 1.2, for example, a 1.4 lens, and you took this photo, same focal length, at f8, you'd probably get away with it, because that lens is built just for that focal length. But with these zoom lenses, they tend to be a little bit more temperamental with things like depth of field and sharpness around the edges in particular. So just something to think about. All right, so that's sort of technically. Otherwise, everything is good. Let's jump into the develop module and have a look at composition, and then we'll have a look at what we could have done to change things slightly. Now, once again, I wasn't there, so I don't know what was outside of this frame, but to me, I feel like it's a little bit too crowded, or cramped, I should say. If we put the rule of thirds on, this building is just making these crosshairs here. I would like to have seen a little bit more to the left. So just a slightly wider shot. You shot it at 24, you had 18 available to you. Could have done that. You can always move back a bit as well. The other thing that would have done from a composition point of view is, see this line down here. Let me get rid of the rule of thirds. See this line down the bottom here of the grass cutting across the bottom? You could have got that coming out of the corner here. And I'm a big one for foreground. You look at any of my photos, I put a lot of foreground in, and it just gives the viewer that depth perspective, so they feel like they're there. So going a bit wider, you could have got more of the grass in coming out here. You could have got more of this in to the left. There's a beautiful light pole here with a really nice style light on the top of it, and you would have just included that little bit more. The other thing you would have got is you would have got a bit more of the reflection of the building. See these really nice reflections in the water from the tunnels? They look awesome. The building's got some here. You can see those three from the support posts here. So you would have got more of that reflection in as well by going a bit wider. I would have been tempted to shoot a little bit wider just to get that in. The other thing that is bothering me, and I'm big on this, is there's just some stuff in the water. I don't know if it's what it is, something floating around. There's quite a lot of stuff. I don't know what it is. See over here, there's lots of, I don't know what it is. But all of those things, particularly these ones that are in the darker patches, see these here? It could be, is it birds of some sort? I don't know. But I would be really tempted to just remove those like so. Just because, to me, they actually look like, dust, or they look like they're not meant to be there. They're not well enough, sort of defined in the image for it to make sense. Now, there's a heap over here as well, but you can see the difference it's made there. I'll just give you the before and after. So that's before I removed them and then after. I don't know how well you can see that on YouTube, but certainly for me, I would go through and remove these. There's a heap of them, so I won't do them all, but little things like that can actually make a big difference to your end image. And I don't know what it is, whether it's birds or something else floating around, but there's a lot of them. So just look for things like that, because it will make a difference to your end image. And no idea what they are. I don't know if Dennis, I haven't seen Dennis in here this morning, so maybe he might watch the replay. So that's one thing that I would take care of. The other thing that I think from a post-processing point of view is this is such a hero. Now, it's not sharp, so making it difficult, but these beautiful old bridges made out of these stone, if you hit them with the clarity brush, they just look amazing. So I'm going to just give it a bit of a hit with the clarity brush, just so you can see how different it'll look if we just hit it with the clarity. Clarity does an amazing job at bringing out the detail. And even though this is not sharp, it's going to make it look sharper than it is. So it can sort of help you. But just look at that pop now. So I'll show you the before and after. Let's do that. Let's go to before and after. So this is before and this is after. Just look at the brickwork or the rocks, the bridge itself. See how much more defined it is with the clarity? So I'm a really big fan of using clarity to, get things more defined. And it does make a huge difference. So that's before, that's after. Before and after. I would be tempted to add a bit more contrast to this entire shot. So let's have a look at doing that. In fact, let's do it with the blacks and the whites. So if you haven't seen, that's still doing the brush. Let me get out of the brush. With Lightroom, hold down your Shift key and you can double click white and double click black. And it will automatically select so you don't do any clipping of your colors. The other thing you can do is if you hold down the Alt key or the Option key, depending on Mac or PC, and you can slide them back and it'll show you, see the areas that are black is where we're actually losing our detail. Now, I don't mind losing the detail in the tunnel, so I'm going to bring that back a bit. I'm just going to, and the whites, you can see where the whites start to clip. They're just up there in the cloud. See that? So that's now clipping. So it allows you to just adjust them in a way that means that you're not going to lose too much detail. So you can see that's really added a lot of contrast and depth to the image. I'm just going to bring the highlights back a little bit. Probably not. No, we'll leave that where it was. But you don't want to drop those blacks too much, otherwise it starts looking funny. Like, I don't know, charcoals on it or something. But it's up to you. It's all, you got to work out what works for you. So I wouldn't do too much more to this image, to be honest. I really like it. Beautiful old bridge. So that's before and after. Before and after. I would probably back that clarity off a little bit. Here's a good thing with Lightroom too. It's easy to go back and make changes. So this was my brushing that I did before. I've just selected the brush. I can actually reduce the clarity a bit. So you can see once I've done the brushing, I can then just make changes anyway to the amount of the effect that is applied, which is a cool thing about Lightroom. It makes it really easy for us to do this editing. The other time, I reckon this bridge would be amazing. I don't know if these lights work or not. There's a light on the side of the bridge here. See this one here? And there's that one there. Maybe there's another one to this side. I don't know. But if you were to get here pre-sunrise or just after sunset, maybe these lights would be on. That'd be amazing. And I would be tempted, if it's, even if it's too dark, to take two shots, one with the lights on, and blend the lights in. So you've got sort of a bit of that happening as well. And it's another trick that's a really good trick is, take photos throughout different parts of it getting darker, and then you can include different elements. And that's a way that you can do that. All right. Once again to these guys, thanks so much for sending in your your images for critique. Always grateful. So thanks to Ren and to Dennis for sending in these 2 photos. They're great photos, and hopefully you enjoyed what it was in the end that we ended up with, and you liked the tips. As I say, it's always, I'm not there, so I don't know what circumstances you were trying to shoot these under, but I always appreciate you sending your images in. Because it gives us a show. We don't have a show otherwise. So thank you for sending those in. All right. So that's pretty much it. 2 images critiqued, updated on everything exciting that is happening. Now, one of the things that I've had a few people ask me about is doing workshops, just sort of mini workshops. And I've been putting some thought into, I think I mentioned it last week or the week before, and I've had a few people email me saying they are interested. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a Sydney sunset workshop. If you would like to come to a Sydney sunset workshop, let me know. You can shoot it in by email, shoot me a message in Facebook. Keep an eye out. I will, I'll make an announcement in the community section of YouTube, so you should get a notification. I'll email the database when it happens, and I'll put it on my Facebook group, and I'll let the VIPs know. So if you're in any of those places on a regular basis, you'll know when I release the dates. I'm going to do one before the end of November, so I'll do one in November. And that way, all those that were hoping to be able to come along to some sort of a workshop with me for just a short period of time, because a lot of people are saying, I want to come and shoot with you, but I don't want to do a big long 5-day workshop, can't afford it, or can't afford the time. Understand. But if I do some Sydney workshops, even if you're interstate, you'll be able to fly in, and we'll do a 3 or 4 hour shoot together. And we'll shoot the city by night, and we'll do sunset first, and then we'll do the Sydney lights. It's an amazing place to shoot, and I'll take you to my favourite spot, and we'll go and shoot sunset. That's what we'll do. So all you need to do is let me know. Make sure you follow me on these social media pipes, because that's where I'm likely to announce it, and that way you can make sure you don't miss out. All right, let's jump into the chat box to wrap the show up. We've got a few minutes where we can go through. Let's see. I'll go back a bit. Really good shot. Where are we? Dust Bunny. Maybe we can do this on DxO. Where did I get to last time? Netwolf. Like the cloud. You can get your photos on all platforms. Yes. Sai says, really good shot. I shot a similar yellow crop of rapeseed, and it confused the exposure to seem grubby. Needed post tweaking. Yeah, sometimes it can. Same with things like bright blue skies. Sometimes can really confuse the software. What does Jim, the grumpy photographer, says? He says, I have tried them all, Capture One and the like, and always went back to Lightroom, but I'm too old to change. I understand. I'm pretty good when it comes to changing, but when you invest a lot of time learning something, and you probably realise I get around Lightroom pretty quickly, and most of that is keyboard shortcuts. One of my frustrations right now is my Wacom tablet. For some reason, when I refresh the computer to a brand new install, I can't get the shortcut set up the same way. It's telling me that old tablet is not compatible with this version of High Sierra, yet it was working before, so I think it's lost all its settings and I can't set it back up. So I think I'm going to be forced to go and get a new tablet if I want to be able to use it in the same way. But yeah, once I've learned all the shortcuts, it really makes my post-processing fast. So yeah. Rick still has Lightroom 4. Just timid to go to a subscription. Well, that was iced coffee. One would have to work out what your lens sweet spot is. Yes, Rick, you're right. And you're probably referring to where Dennis's shot had some out of focus spots in it because of the depth of field. You do get to learn how each lens behaves. And because I shoot with the Nikon 14 to 24 millimeter most of the time, you sort of understand what its shortcomings are because you process a lot of photos from it. And so I've learned how to shoot with that lens. Terrific class, says Christopher. Good on you. Ren says, sometimes you can turn an image that's out of focus into painterly effect and it works well. Yeah, and it probably would have worked well with that image. Agreed. Brian says, great images, fellas. Yes, they were. Summer is best. Yes. 2 great photos. Yes. Paul, g'day. Just joined us, Paul. Paul Goody. We'll watch the whole show now. Yeah, go back to the beginning. Aussie says, great show as usual. Fantastic images. Everyone has a fantastic day, night, wherever you are. Thanks, Aussie Paul. And good news is, no gremlins. So it's definitely that second monitor that was causing me the issues. And I will get used to this setup. My other option is to get the bigger iPad. What do they call it? The iPad Pro. But that's investing a fair bit of money when, you know, the second monitor should do the job. But this is working really, really well. I'm running a software on my iPad called Duet, and it allows me to plug the iPad into my iMac and then choose the iPad as a second monitor through AirPlay. So if anyone uses a Mac, it's a really good way to get a second monitor, and it's a touchscreen monitor. So I was touching it last show to change shots and things, but then I realized that it was doing this to the camera because I've got the camera mounted to the top of the iPad. So I decided that it was probably a good idea not to use that and just to use the mouse. And it's, you know, it means I've just got to drag the mouse from the main monitor over to here, but it's been working well. Anyway, alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for joining me this week for episode 51. Reminder that next week there will be no Pixel Chatter because I will be away. And I will be making some new vlogs whilst I'm away because I'm going to do some shooting and take all the camera gear with me. The primary purpose of my trip is to go and visit my mum and dad. It's my dad's birthday on Friday, so I'm going to drive up the Friday, take him out to dinner, and then on the Saturday, I've got to help him lay a timber floor in their bedroom. And then I'm going to, on the Saturday afternoon, I'm going to leave there and I'm going to go back to a spot. I'm actually on the Friday, I'm going to do a bit of a recce to find a good spot for me to come back to on the Saturday and shoot. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it's clear skies, and I can do some astrophotography, some star trails. I'll be on my own, so I can sit up all night with the camera out and take photos. That is my plan, and we'll just see what happens. All right, until next time, you know what? Get out there and take some photos. Cheerio. Thanks for joining.